This is a mock interview conducted by ForumIAS Academy at New Delhi. The interview panel includes eminent professors, retired bureaucrats, and other luminaries. The objective of the program is to acquaint the candidate with the format and expectations of the personality test conducted by UPSC.
Sir, good morning, sir. Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir.
Shubham?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Shubhamji, before we start, you are taking in English or Hindi?
English, sir.
English. So, Shubhamji, what are you doing currently?
Sir, currently I'm just preparing for the UPSC. Recently, I've also been selected as Assistant Commandant in BSF. The joining letter is yet to come, sir.
All right, very good. Congratulations. I observed that you had been writing the Central Armed Police Forces for quite some time.
Yes, sir.
So, this time you are successful.
Yes, sir.
And you are you are getting BSF.
Yes, sir.
All right, very good. That's what? That's a class 1 service armed forces?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, what prompted you to opt for armed forces?
Sir, honestly, the syllabus of this exam, Armed Forces exam, especially CAPF exam, is very similar to UPSC exam. So, since UPSC is very difficult exam, as a backup option, I had always given that exam a try.
But you don't have any passion or any aptitude for armed forces?
Sir, honestly, I think that I take it as a employment opportunity only.
All right. Good. Very nice to hear your candid admission. I also observed that you had completed your BA in 2018.
Yes, sir.
Thereafter, you did MA twice.
Yes, sir.
First MA in political science and thereafter psychology. So, why didn't you join MA immediately after your BA?
Sir, I had started my MA immediately after BA, the political
So,
science.
MA is a 3-year course.
2-year course, sir.
So, but it says that you passed out your MA in 22.
Sir, the results were quite delayed and I had also applied for evaluation, so that is why the results came in 1 year later.
All right. So, that means when you say year of passing,
Yes, sir.
so that was 3rd year. Because after 18 you joined, but it's a 2-year course, so it should have been the year of passing should have been 2020 and not 2021.
Sir, the actual results came in November 21, but since I had applied for evaluation, the final results came in January or February 22.
All right. I also observed that you had taken psychology,
Yes.
even in class 12. Any special reason to opt for psychology even at that young age?
Sir, at that time, I was always fascinated by psychology. Sir, because initially I had an idea that psychologists can read human minds and all. That is why I opted for psychology in 11th.
So, why did you take up your career in psychology? You are written that you are helping your father in business.
Yes, sir.
So, why didn't you take up a career in psychology?
Sir, I've recently done JRF in psychology and also I've completed my master's.
No, that I have seen.
Yes, sir.
But career, why didn't you take up a job related to psychology?
Sir, I was actually not quite aware about this field earlier.
All right. I also observed that you are interested in following stock market.
Yes, sir.
Tell me why stock markets are important for any society or a country?
Sir, stock market happens to be a very important component of any economy, and especially companies to get their capital requirements. That is a very, I would say, a legitimate and a good option to collect capital, and there is less chances. There is less chances of paying any interest on that capital, sir.
Less chances का क्या मतलब? There is nothing like less or more. Equity is equity.
Yes, sir.
Equity, you don't
Sir, what I meant to say was that you don't have to pay any interest on
So
that capital. Yes, sir.
But then you have to service your equity also. So whenever you generate money, you have to give some dividend. And secondly, when you float equity, control over the company gets diluted, no?
Yes, sir.
तो आप तो खुद बिजनेस में हैं, आपके फादर. Suppose he or you have to float a company. Will you go for high level of debt or high level of equity?
Sir, initially for any business, debt is a good option. But as things go on a scale, then equity becomes a better option, because then you have less risk of paying personal responsibility for that capital, because in stock market you sail together and you sink together. That is why there is a less risk for you paying for the company if it fails.
But अगर ऐसा होता तो आपने से कहा होगा अडानी. In Adani's enterprises, almost a little more than 75% equity is with Adani. तो उनको और जगह पे डाइल्यूट करना चाहिए. आप कह रहे हैं swim together or sink together, so he should have divested his equity to general people.
But sir, then there is as you said, sir, your control over the company gets diluted. So people tend to keep a balance, that they also have a controlling stake in the company. And
what do you think of the current status of the capital market in India or the stock market in India? Do you think it's doing well? And why it is doing well, if it is doing well?
Sir, I think the stock market of Indian economy is doing quite well. And since we are a developing country, and stock market is a very good indicator of any economy. Mm-hmm. So compared to other developing...
So since the capital market is going up, so you think that the Indian economy is also doing well?
Yes, sir, I do think so.
What are the other parameters which indicate the health of an economy?
So there are many parameters. For example, GDP numbers, employment ratios, current account deficits, fiscal deficits. All of these parameters indicate the health of any economy, sir.
All right. But there is a criticism of the capital market in India that is highly manipulated. It's being manipulated by only 4 or 5 guys, basically the big stockists and those who are basically into manipulations and rigging of or inside trading. Do you think with that criticism?
Sir, I'm not quite sure about this, but I've also heard these things that the markets are being operated by big operators.
Do you invest in capital market?
So sometimes I do, sir.
All right. So in last 6 months, have you invested in any of the equity?
Yes, sir.
Which one is that?
So there are many stocks. I actually tend to invest small amounts whenever the market goes down, and I feel the stocks which are available at good valuations, I do invest in them, sir.
And then how long do you keep these equity with you? You do it short term or long term or what?
Sir, I personally prefer very long term, and I rarely sell anything which I buy, sir.
All right. So अगर पिछले 1 साल में पूछें, what kind of a return have you received? Even though you are not sold those equity, but what is the value today?
Sir, I do not invest very high amounts of money. I've only invested the small savings which I have.
Fine. जो भी आपने किया, तो उसमें what is the kind of return which you have earned till date?
Sir, since from last year markets are performing very well, my portfolio has a return of around 20%.
Oh, very good. All right. My last question. You have mentioned about the street food.
Yes, sir.
Do you think it's a good idea to promote street food in any society? On the other hand, because of the mall culture and whole lot of organized shopping areas, these street foods are being looked down upon.
Yes. Sir, I think there are both sides of the coin. On the negative side, I would agree to the point that street food is definitely junk food, because there are a lot of fats and low quality of material is used. But on the other hand, sir, it is also about food habits of the people and their choice. So the middle path I would suggest is to keep the regulations very tight. For example, there are many FSSAI regulations. Street vendors should follow these regulations rigorously, and officers should also regularly check on these street vendors whether they are using good material, whether their oil is good which they use for frying. So these regulations can help, but complete disregard of street food,
But
I
you
don't.
said that people want to have a choice, so they can go to a mall and a restaurant rather than going for the street food.
So the price.
मानी छोला भटूरा किसी को खाना है तो किसी गली के या स्ट्रीट के किनारे पे छोला भटूरा खाने से ज़्यादा अच्छा नहीं है कि he should go to a restaurant.
Sir, I would personally not go to a restaurant because restaurant charge double or triple the time which we get on street, sir.
So this is cheaper.
Yes, sir,
But with
definitely.
the regulation, you can ensure the quality of the
Yes, sir.
Very good. All right, my last, though I said that this will be my last, but tell me, which feature of the Indian Constitution you like the most and why?
Sir, I would say that the first thing which comes is preamble, because it encompasses a whole philosophy of Indian Constitution and our founding fathers. So that is why I like the preamble.
Preamble तो हर constitution, कोई country ले लेंगे, हर country के constitution में preamble होगा. So what is so special about our preamble?
Sir, our preamble, so the most special part of our preamble is that the sovereignty of our country comes from its people, which is the hallmark of any democracy. So in the very first line of our constitution, we pay attention to this component. So that is why I think the preamble is the most important part. And it also provides the long-term vision which our founding fathers had for our country.
All right. Thank you very much, Shubham. I'll request my colleague to take over.
Shubham, you have written about how spending time on social media and watching shorts is one of your hobbies.
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to understand your take on a disorder which is called as ADHD. Are you aware of that?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you please tell me about it?
Ma'am, ADHD is attention deficit hyperactive disorder, which mainly affects children. It is a disorder of, it is mainly a disorder which comes in anxiety disorders, because children are not able to attend to any particular thing for a long time, and sometimes it is only attention related, sometimes it is also related to hyperactivity, which means that children can exhibit behaviors like they cry too much, or they will yell at you, or they will not pay attention to you. These are all the features of ADHD.
And don't you think this culture of shorts and reels has made sure that even adults have become attention deficient? We have moved from reading books to watching videos more. Do you think that there is an increasing trend towards this particular idea?
I would definitely agree on the point that the attention and attentional problems are there, but I would not agree on the point that this is moving towards disorders like ADHD. ADHD is definitely very severe and a specific type of disorder, and the problems which we face on social media are different from that, sir.
Okay. Having studied psychology back in school, as well as you hold a very good percentage in your MA also, what do you think is one of the foundational psychological paradigms which is acting as a sort of roadblock for the tribal populations in this country to adopt any kind of interventions from the government peacefully? For example, introduction of English medium schools or vaccination centers, access to PHCs. We see there's a roadblock in some of the tribal pockets in the country. So can you tell me the psychology behind this roadblock?
Ma'am, the main point which acts here is the psychology of marginalization. Because ma'am, for any individual, the sense of belongingness or the need of belongingness is very important. And to establish an individual identity, a person tries to belong to a group. So that group identity becomes very important for the person. And tribals per se, as they have been neglected and they have been discriminated against from very earlier ages, ma'am, even from the British times, so they have developed a negative perception towards the mainstream people. And that is why the group identity is very strong in them. And they do not want to get connected or mingled in the mainstream society.
Okay. So if you're posted in one such district, what would you as an administrator do to facilitate this process in a smooth way?
Ma'am, as a student of psychology and as an administrator, I would try to apply the principles of persuasion. I would not try to impose the culture on them, and I would definitely take their concerns into mind and then formulate a policy which is culturally congruent to them.
Very good. One more question here. You have given multiple attempts with the CAPF and civil services as well. Do you think mental health awareness is one thing which lacks in the civil services fraternity, especially the aspirants category? What do you think is a roadblock in recognizing the very idea of mental health disorders in India?
Ma'am, I would definitely say yes to this, that mental health is a big issue, especially in aspirants community. Ma'am, because UPSC is a very tough exam and you get a lot of highs and lows in the process. Since this mental health is a stigma in the whole society, and aspirants also come from the society only, so it is a collective phenomenon. I would not say it is limited to aspirants community. It's definitely a whole society phenomena.
Is India recognizing this phenomena now, recently?
Yes, ma'am. I have also seen that there is a rising trend of consulting mental health professionals, especially in the urban areas, ma'am. It has improved a lot, but rural areas, it is still a problem.
Thank you so much, Shubham.
Hello, Shubham.
Hello, sir.
Shubham, can you tell me who has been invited as a chief guest for the Republican Day celebration this year?
Sir, I'm sorry. Actually remember that Joe Biden was invited, but he could not come. And right now, I'm not aware who is being invited.
And what could be the possible reason that Mr. Biden declined the invitation?
So the reasons cited were not...
Could it have anything to do with what has been going on between India and the US regarding the controversy of Khalistan and Pannu?
Sir, I would definitely think that that might be the reason, because the timings were similar. Because when this issue came, the news about Joe Biden not attending also came. So that could be a possible reason, but I'm not sure about.
But according to news reports, the US government had brought this issue to India's notice before the G20 summit. But that summit was not impacted, right? So why this celebration now on 26th January?
So G20 was a much larger scale event, and there were 20 of the largest countries invited to that forum, and US is definitely a flag bearer of democracies and G20 summit also. So definitely it could not have rejected.
And many foreign policy experts have noticed that, the government of India's response to the US allegations vis-a-vis Canada's allegations, they have been very different. What could be the possible reason the government has reacted in a very contrasting manner in the two cases?
Sir, I think the reason would be the relations with both these countries.
You think Canada is not important to us?
Sir, I think it is very important to us, but it is not paying heed to our concerns, which is the Khalistani separatism, which is rising in Canada.
Consulates have been attacked in US as well, and the response of the US government has been lacking.
Sir, but US is definitely more important to us than Canada, and on the Canada allegations also, though we had replied in a negative manner, but we also said that if they provide us proper evidences.
That's the fundamental reason, because US has given us evidence. Canada has only made allegations. They haven't shared, concrete evidence.
Yes.
And do you think that, countries should actually indulge in these kind of operations? I mean, prima facie, what is looking at India has a hand. Maybe India has a hand. So do you think that countries should actually undertake such activities?
Sir, on a principle and theoretical level, I would definitely not agree to these points, but since it is a very serious issue and a security issue, I would approximate that the situation there would be very different, and they work on different principles and different strategies.
So in international relations, what is being said and what is being done, there are two different things.
Yes, sir.
And India also does the same thing?
Sir, I'm not aware about the proper things which has been done. This is what is coming in media.
Okay. So you are from Rajasthan. Elections result came for state assembly elections. How many women MLAs were there? Have been elected?
Sir, I'm not aware. I'm sorry.
Any guess how many could be? 10%, 20%, 30%? What was the figure in the last assembly?
Sir, I'm not aware. Sorry.
Okay. And do you think that the Women Reservation Act that has been passed, will it impact? Or will it just be, like we have seen in the local panchayat elections, Panchpati, Sarpanchpati, the actual power is wielded by the male relative. Do you think that women reservation will actually help in giving women the power?
Yes, sir. I think that would definitely help in giving women their due rights, because women constitute 50% of our population, and not giving representation to them was a very big issue. And in the recent Lok Sabha only, the representation of women was around 15% only. So I think this bill will definitely help. There are issues like the proxy culture is there, elitist women culture will be there. But sir, that is a marginal issue, and we should not overlook the big theme due to these small issues. They can be dealt with.
Okay. Thank you, Shubham. That's all from my side. Awesome.
Hello, Shubham.
Hello, sir.
Okay, so earlier ma'am has asked a question regarding mental health ignorance. Okay, as far as civil services aspirants are concerned, this is often being ignored. But as far as the IIT JEE student suicides in quota, the mental health issue is often is a bigger concern. So as a psychology student, or if you have been posted as an administrator in quota, then how will you tackle such kind of issues?
So the primary reason for these issues is the pressure which is put on these young people, young children, I would say, because they have recently come out from 10th class or 12th class mostly. And at that age, handling so much pressure is a very big thing for children. To tackle these issues, sir, I would put the responsibility on coaching centers to hire mental health experts so that they can identify, as a precautionary measure, they can identify people who are vulnerable, who are going through stress, anxiety, and they can help these children. Secondly, awareness among parents is very important, and that awareness can be provided at these coaching institutes only when they are sending their children for admission. So that can be done, sir.
Do you think that they will hire a mental health expert? They are only concerned about money.
Sir, in my capacity as administrator, I think I
You will
can
make sure that
persuade
they will
them
hire
to.
a mental.
Yes, sir.
But there are a lot of coachings in quota. Okay, hiring mental experts will be a burdensome for them.
Yes, sir.
So how will you persuade them? Like if they are making losses, some coaching institutes are not having such such a high enrollments. So if they will deny, then how will you persuade them?
Sir, since coaching industry, there is a very competitive industry. So I think some of the coaching industries will definitely agree to my point, and since the competition is there, parents will definitely send their children to institutes which have mental health experts with them. And due to this, they will maybe see a flight of students from their institutes, and that will automatically make them hire mental health experts.
Okay. So recently Uttarkashi tunnel collapse, you might have heard news about that, right? Such kind of incidents are often being seen in Uttarakhand, where Char Dham Pariyojana is going on. So do you think that such kind of, where vulnerabilities are so high in the hilly areas, right? Earlier Joshimath was in the news just because of, subsiding the land and all. So do you think that such kind of project should be given go ahead from the center?
Sir, I think the developmental projects in hilly areas, there have been a lot of issues with the geology of that area. But sir, on the one hand, development is also necessary for these areas because they happen to be on our northern border. So for our security concerns and the development aspirations of people there, these projects are a necessity. But government should also keep in mind that the expert advice should be taken, and the utmost care should be taken while issuing such projects. But accidents, they are, sir, I think they should not happen, but in such areas, a few accidents can happen, sir.
Okay. So saving the people, or saving, you can say, the laborers who got affected with the tunnel collapse, there was a technology in use, and that was in news also. Can you tell me the name of that technology?
Sir, as far as I can remember, it was a boring technology.
Boring.
I'm not aware, sir.
Okay. So recently COP28 happened. In which country?
Sorry, Saudi, sir. Saudi.
Saudi Arabia.
Sorry, sir. It happened in UAE.
Okay. My question is that most of the time these kind of conference of parties, they are happening. And after Paris Agreement also, a lot of onus was, on the bigger countries, okay, because they are the polluters. But as far as the problem that is being faced by the smaller countries, so do you think that such kind of conference of parties should be there, where only meeting is happening and nothing concrete is going on? So what should be the larger perspective, or what should be the solution of such kind of issues?
Sir, I think this is a problem with respect to all the meetings which happen on international level. As far as I have read about all these meetings, only statements which contain high principled values are stated as an outcome. But I think this has been a trend and tradition in the international community, and countries must individually try to reduce their carbon emissions and follow the larger guidelines issued in these international forums, sir. Because these forums work on a consensus basis, and building a consensus among such different-minded countries is a very difficult task for the negotiators. That is why the outcomes are so vague, and they are highly principled outcomes rather than any practical suggestions, I would say, sir.
Okay. You are hailing from Rajasthan. A lot of tribal population is found in Rajasthan. Is there any PVTG? You understand what is PVTG? Yes. Is there any PVTG in Rajasthan?
Sir, I'm sorry, I'm not aware.
What are the local tribes of Jaipur?
Sir, I'm sorry, I'm not aware.
Okay. My last question is, you earlier said that your hobbies include eating street food and cooking. Do you think that street food are covered under FSSAI?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what are the clauses?
Sir, I can remember only a few, that they have to get a food license, and they have, sir, regulations also are there.
The regulations are there. Very often the concerns that are being raised about the street food is the hygienity.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if they are being covered by FSSAI, then why this issue is still there? Why no action has been taken so far?
I think this has to do with the enforcement of these regulations by the FSSAI officials. I think, sir, FSSAI has to strengthen its operational mechanism and look for enforcing these regulations with the more seriousness, sir.
How?
Sir, there are many causes for this. First would be hiring more officials for the regulation, sir, because there has been a human resource gap in the FSSAI. And sir, this is the only thing I could remember right now. Thank you.